play here. This is a flex basketball play. And this one is used a lot by a lot of NBA teams, specifically teams like the Golden State Warriors. Okay, so let's take a look at it. So we're going to start here in a 5-out sort of box style where we have 2 people on one side and 2 people on the other, a point guard on the top of the floor. So same as we would, with a typical 5-out or something like that. So the first thing we're going to have is number 3 set a down screen here for number 4, right? So number 3 is setting that down screen for number 4. Now, as that is happening, number 4 is coming off the screen, but they're not looking for the basketball. That's just a decoy. Number 4 is coming off that screen, and they're going to then set that flex screen here for number 2. So number 4 is doing that, right? And they're setting that flex screen for number 2. Number 3, after they set that screen, right, they're going to then pop up to the 3-point line, and they're going to be the one to receive the basketball, okay? So number 2 is then coming off of that screen, right? We have our flex cut right here, and they're going to try to post up and receive the basketball right here. If that doesn't work, okay, if we don't get that first initial look, which most often we're going to get that look, but if it doesn't, we're then going to screen the screener. So we're going to have a stagger screen here. Number 5 sets that screen for number 4. Right, number 1 follows. They're setting another screen. And number 4 is coming off that screen for a 3-point shot. So we have 2 different options here. We have our flex screen down here, and we have our option to get a 3-point shot above the 3-point line. So multiple different options. Right, it's a great way to use a flex offense. Okay, so let's take a look at this first Horns offensive basketball set. Now, this one's going to give us a few different options. It's going to get our players continuously moving, so you're not just going to have one option to the basket or one option for a shot. You're going to have somebody curling open for an outside jump shot, but you're also going to have a pick and roll come from this as well. So let's take a look at it. So we're going to start here with the ball, obviously, in the hands of our point guard. Then we have our 2 players setting up in a horn style offense at the elbow of the key. Now this player here, number 3, you're going to want that player to be a shooter, someone that you can get open for the basketball, because that player is going to be curling for an outside shot. So the first thing that we're going to have here is number 4, and they're going to come up and set a little decoy screen here on number 1. So this screen is not really super effective in the play, but it's just kind of something to get things started so it's not super predictable. So we have that first screen being set here from number 1. Now, if number 1 comes off that screen and they, for some reason get a wide open lane to the basket, or if they, get the opportunity to pull up there at the 3-point line, they can take that, but this is not really a huge part of the play. Now, what's going to happen immediately after 4 sets that screen is they're going to go set another screen down here for that other player set up at the elbow, number 5. And number 5 is going to come off that screen, and they are setting another screen here for our point guard. So a lot of screens being set to start things off. So number 5, like I said, is setting another screen right here for our point guard. Our point guard is coming off that screen with the basketball. Right? So number 1 obviously has the basketball. They're coming off that screen. So now we have the opportunity here for a pick and roll between number 1 and number 5. But as that is happening, number 4 is going to go immediately set another screen here for number 3, and number 3 is going to curl. So we have that pick and roll to the basket now between number 5 and number 1, but we also have, if the defense is collapsed or the defense collapses for some reason, we'll have number 3 out here to kick it out to as well for an outside 3-point shot. So multiple different options here within this horn set. Let's take a look at it one more time and run through it pretty quick. So we'll reset at the ball up top in our point guard's hands, and we have number 3 here in the corner, ready to shoot the basketball. So it starts, we're going to have that screen being set right here for number 5. This is a decoy screen. Like I said, can we have a lane to the basket? Can we look for it? Yeah. Are we probably going to get it? Most likely not. But then number 5 is immediately going to go set another screen for number 4. Okay, as that is happening, number 4 is going to come set a screen here for the point guard. So the point guard's moving a little bit more toward the middle again. So we have that screen being set right here. Okay, then this player is going down and setting a screen for number 3. Number 3 is curling to the basket as number 1 and number 4 run a pick and roll. So we can potentially get an outside 3-point shot here for number 3, or a wide open lane for either our point guard or our roller in number 4. Okay, so to set up the Cyclone, we want to get our players to line up in a box type of setting around the key. So as we can see here, right, we have, about a square root of players, around the key, right? So we have a player here at the elbow, player here at the elbow, and 2 players near the net. So, a full square, around the key. Okay, we're also going to have our point guard, above the 3-point line. The key to this one is we want to have our point guard on the side of the floor, right? We don't want to have our point guard right here in the middle. We want to have our point guard on the side of the floor. Now, how you start this, if you want to start the play with your point guard here and then bring them to the side of the floor with the basketball, that's fine as well. But, either way, we just want to get our point guard here on the side of the floor. So maybe let's say, for the sake of drawing this out, that they'll start in the middle, right? And then we'll move them over to the side of the floor. Now, the key to this play is we want to get a wide open layup. For one of our wing players, right here we have it as the 4. The 4 player is going to be the one receiving the wide open layup. So you want to put the person receiving the layup in this spot that number 4 is in. But, if you have a wing player or maybe a power forward that you trust to score around the rim, that would be a good player to put in this particular position. Now, we want to have a shooter down here in this number 2 spot. So somebody who you trust to shoot the basketball, right? Because we want a lot of focus on that particular player, right? We want the defense to chase that player through screens, right? So we want the focus to be on number 2. So you should put one of your shooters or one of your stronger shooters in this number 2 spot. Okay, so what is going to happen to start? Number 2 is going to come over here and set a screen for number 3. Okay, so number 2 is coming over and setting that screen. So number 3 is coming off the screen, and number 1 is going to feed the ball over to number 3. So number 3 is receiving that basketball. Now, what's going to happen immediately after that is number 2 is going to come up here and set a screen for number 4. Okay, number 4 is coming off that screen nice and tight to the basket. They're going to receive a pass here from number 3, and they're going to get a wide open layup to the basket. Now, there are a few things that you can do to make this easier, right? If you want to have number 5 kind of pop outside the 3-point line once that screen action is taking place, I don't think there's any, negative side to that as well. We can bring that defender outside the 3-point line. If you do have, a post player, a big, a 5 player, I, probably wouldn't recommend putting them on the floor for this. And I'd probably recommend more of a small ball type of, team on the floor for this, so that the other team will match, and there's not necessarily a lot of tall or great defenders around the rim on the floor. But that's neither here or there. That's not the point of the offensive play, obviously. So let's kind of look at it again. And again, we want to have number 2 here, who is going to be our shooter that we kind of want people to chase around the floor, right? And number 1 is our point guard. So it starts off again. We have that screen being set here for number 3. Right, number 3 is coming off that screen. Which way they come off the screen doesn't really matter too much. Right, we're going to feed them the basketball. Now let's say they get it maybe inside the 3-point line a little bit. And if number 1 needs to dribble, a little bit closer to get the ball to number 3, that's okay as well. Obviously, we're just kind of drawing it out here. Right, and then, like I said, number 2 is going to set that screen here for number 4. Again, if you want to do this outside the key a little bit, that's okay too. Right, but let's just say it happens at the elbow. Maybe we can have number 5 pop to create some extra room there, and then we're going to have a wide open layup here for number 2. So like I said, this play, results in a wide open layup. It's one of my favorite plays of all time. I've loved using it. I've used it with teams as young as 5th grade to all the way up into high school teams as well. It's not something you want to run over and over and over again, because eventually teams will catch on. But if you want to have a heavy hitter, maybe 1 or 2 times per game, that will result in a wide open layup, this is a great one for that. Great. Okay, so the next Horns offensive basketball play that we are going to look at today combines the Horns offense and the flex offense. Now, for anybody that follows us, checks out our plays, you would know that, I'm a huge fan of the flex offense. And, I'm a huge fan of this one as well, because again, it combines both of these plays to make one, really great play, in my opinion. So the first thing we have here, obviously, we're kind of lined up the same way, right? We have our players here in the post, aka at the elbow for this one. Our post players, usually our bigger players, are going to be number 5 and number 4. Somebody you can get the ball in that you feel comfortable with. You can pass it into one of these players. But in this situation, we're going to have number 3, instead of number 3 being a shooter, we're going to have number 3 being somebody who, we feel can score around the rim. So, maybe your actual 3, maybe your small forward. You're not going to put a smaller player in this position, in my opinion. Okay, so what we're going to have happen right now is we're going to want to get the ball, and then the same thing for number two. Actually, I should say, number two, should be in the similar type of position as number three in this situation. Because you might have to go to either side of the floor in this one. So we're going to get the ball in to start to number four. So we want number four and number five, both of these players posting up, facing the basketball. But we want to get the ball into number four, right? We want our point guard, number one, to pass the ball into number four. That is our first step. Now, as that is happening, number five is then going to come up to about the three-point line, and they're going to set a screen for number one. So number one is coming off that screen. Now, as that is happening, number five, obviously, you're going to be right here. We're going to pass the ball back to number five. So number four is going to pass the ball back to number five. As that happens, number four, they're just going to move out a little bit to the three-point line. But what number one is doing is they're moving all the way down to number three right here, and they're setting that flex screen. So we can have a flex cut here from number three all the way to the basket, and then we can feed the ball into number three for an easy layup. If we don't have, the ability to get the ball into number three, that's okay, because we can either go to a dribble handoff here to number four or number two. There are some other options here as well. So our play isn't stuck. But again, typically we're going to be able to get that flex cut here into number three for that easy layup, right? It's basically a flex offense, but we're setting up in a horns. All right, so let's look at it again. Let's run through one more time. So we have our point guard here, number one with the basketball. We have number five, number four, our two post players there at the elbow. All right, and we're going to start by getting the ball into number four. So we want both of these players posting up or getting in front of their defenders. If we have to go to the opposite side, that's fine as well. But for the sake of demonstration here, we'll get the ball into number four. Right, number five is going to come up and set that screen here for number one. Right, then they're going to move up again, receive the basketball back. Number one is coming to set that screen here for number three. Number three is coming off the screen. Right, and we're going to feed the ball into number three for that wide open layup that will most often be there, because this is a flex cut, flex screen, and we know that those are very effective when it comes to basketball plays.